Hello, everybody. My name is Sydney, and I'm a Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique practitioner here in San Diego. And today I wanted to tell the story of what happened in my QHHT session, the first one that I had, so that you can listen to it and see what's possible in a QHHT session and if it's something that you're interested in experiencing as well. So, I'm going to be talking about the actual hypnosis part. I don't really need to go into the pre talk or anything, which is what happens like before you go into hypnosis, but I'm just going to be talking about the actual hypnosis part because that's the interesting part. That's best to share with others. So, when I went into my trance, I saw pyramids. Pyramids were the first thing that I saw. So, pyramids show that you're in Egypt probably. And so, I was seeing pyramids. I kind of felt like I was in a town situation or like a city center type of thing. And I looked down and I felt like, or I saw that I was male, and I felt like I was male, and I was wearing this like white robe type thing, I think. And I was just kind of observing the town at first, and the practitioner, of course, was asking me to describe what I was seeing and experiencing. And I was just kind of looking around. I was a little confused. I didn't know what I was doing there. Um, and when I looked at my hands, I felt like they had, like they were kind of tough and like they had spent a lot of years like working. I felt like I worked with my hands. I didn't know exactly what I did, but I felt like I had worked with my hands a lot. And so I was kind of like trying to explore the pyramids, but that wasn't really the main focus. Like I didn't really feel like that was something I needed to go into. I think I was just seeing the pyramids to show that I was in Egypt. Um, and so then I was at my house that I lived, and it was like an older house. It didn't feel modern at all. It felt like not ancient Egypt, but it was definitely not modern day Egypt. I was seeing like clay houses, and I walk in and I see all this furniture, like this wooden furniture, and I kind of had the feeling that I made the furniture. So then that's when it kind of started to click that I built furniture for a living. And then so I was exploring my house. I saw, so when I was looking at my house, I saw my wife and child there, but I felt weird looking at them. Like I felt like uncomfortable, and I'm getting chills now. I felt weird looking at them, and so then I just like kind of didn't like have any. I just wanted to walk past them and go into the house. And so I was exploring the house, and then I was like, seeing the furniture and everything. And then I went into the bedroom, and that's when I felt so uncomfortable. I felt so weird, and I like didn't like being there. All of a sudden I felt super alone. Like I didn't and I hated it. I hated feeling alone. I just I don't know. Like it felt really bad. I felt really really depressed when I went into the bedroom. And I was just kind of like laying in the bed, not knowing what to do with myself and just feeling awful, honestly, emotionally. And so I was asked to go to an important day in that life, and that was the day that my child was being born. So I was experiencing that, and then all of a sudden I got so emotional. I started crying. Like, and the tears in a hypnosis session feel so much heavier than when you're crying on a normal day and just like real life. It feels so real, and it feels like you're releasing something when you're crying. So I was just like so emotional. I just like I couldn't even help it. I just was bawling my eyes out for like a minute or something. And the practitioner was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "They're not there anymore. Like something happened where my wife and child passed away." So I got more details in a different session. So like with this session, I wasn't experiencing everything super like in depth. Like I was getting the emotions out, but I wasn't like I didn't know exactly what happened to them. All I knew was that they passed away. I didn't know exactly what happened. I just kind of assumed it was in childbirth. But at this time, but I actually like figured out later that it wasn't childbirth, but all I knew was seeing her give birth and then they were gone. And then that's why I was feeling so depressed, like being alone because I had them at one point, and um losing them was the worst thing that ever happened to me, and I actually couldn't pick myself back up for the rest of my life. And I was super 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 depressed in that lifetime because I lost the loves of my life, like especially my daughter. So um like I'm sad, like it wasn't really my wife that I was sad about. I mean, like obviously it was sad, but like my daughter was the love of my, like I loved her so much. Like it was this type of love that I had never ever ever experienced. And it's like I loved my wife, but like the love for my daughter was like so intense, and it was like she was just perfect. And um losing her was just the worst thing that ever happened to me. And I couldn't pick myself back up again. And essentially like in that life, like I got so depressed that I just couldn't function anymore. And I basically died of a broken heart in that life, and I was like pretty young still. I felt like I was like in my 40s when I passed away in that lifetime. I forgot to mention this. But when I went into that session, I was going through a horrible heartbreak, like the worst heartbreak that I've ever gone through in this life. So it mirrored kind of like how I felt, like so heartbroken. And I like in this life I didn't know how I was going to pick myself back up, honestly. I really there was I lost all hope on honestly. And so it mirrored that, and so understanding like the pattern of it and how I was so heartbroken, but in this life I'm not supposed to just let myself, be lost for the rest of my life. I wasn't supposed to let myself be depressed in this life. And so like releasing the emotions from that life helped to lighten my heart in this life. Um, so I wasn't carrying that emotional load anymore. So essentially, that helped to heal my heart chakra. And that's a whole nother story I can go into. But so I experienced that lifetime, and then I went into another lifetime. So in hypnosis sessions, you can go, like it just depends. We kind of just go with the flow of what's happening. So I went through that lifetime pretty quickly. So then I went into another lifetime. And in this second lifetime, I was in Lemuria. So when you're under, you don't know exactly you're in Lemuria, but I mean, being conscious, like I can put a label on it. But I was experiencing, Lemuria. Okay, when I got into that Lemurian lifetime, I saw this like pink fairy type thing, pink or like pink haired fairy type thing, and I was like, oh, like at first I thought it was me, but then I saw it, farther away, and I was like, oh wait, that's a fairy. That's my fairy friend. And then I looked down at my body, and I felt human, but I wasn't like I wasn't as dense. Like it wasn't like I was like as dense of a human. I was more like lighter. I was like lighter in nature. I felt more like jelly type being, but I definitely felt like I was on Earth. And in this lifetime, I kind of felt like I was just kind of chilling with my girls. I felt like I was in like kind of like a girl tribe, like a tribe with like other women, and that was it. There was really no men. And I felt like I would just make soups, and then like my little fairy friend would show me where to find berries, and things to put in the soup that I would make for food, because we wouldn't eat anything really dense because like we weren't that dense, so we ate lighter foods. And so I would just like make soup and just literally just vibe all day. And basically, so Lemuria is kind of like it's like in the forest, but then there's like a beach. Um, so it was kind of like a little beach, but it felt like kind of more like a lake vibe. It felt like a lake, and there was like a little beach on the lake, and the rocks are like pebbles. They weren't, it wasn't like sand yet. It was like pebbly beach. And the water wasn't super, there weren't like huge waves. It was just like small waves that coming up on the shore. And so yeah, but then I felt like one random day, a pack of men came over to our little tribe and somehow like messed things up or like started questioning like, how we lived our life, and we're just kind of like not being respectful. And that changed like the course of that lifetime, because I started to think, because I'm pretty sure before that I didn't really think a lot. Like I just kind of like moved with my intuition and just kind of did whatever I wanted to do without thinking about it, which is how intuition moves, is like it's not thinking, it's just doing and moving and going with the flow. And so in this lifetime, like all of a sudden, like my thinking cap was turned on. So it's like my conscious mind was turned on. And that kind of ruined everything because I started questioning everything. And it's like I couldn't just go with the flow anymore. I was like questioning everything, and it was honestly ruining my life. And I couldn't function anymore. And like, but it only happened to me. It didn't happen to anyone else in the tribe. So, um, so then I just went into the forest by myself with my fairy friend, but it was like almost like I couldn't comprehend, like I couldn't really feel my fairy friend anymore because it was like my conscious mind was too loud. I couldn't, pick up on her energy anymore. And so then I was just in the forest for a long time and I didn't know what to do. Like I felt so lost. And then I came back out of the forest and went into the ocean, and then my tribe was there and I hadn't seen them in forever because I was like in the forest for so long. And they were just like, "Oh, hi." Like they were all happy to see me and like just like, "Oh, whatever." And I was just in my own mind just like questioning everything. Like, I don't know. Like I just didn't understand anything anymore. And I was like, "How is everyone else just going on with their life and not thinking about anything?" I'm just like it just like my life was ruined because I started thinking. And um I was asked to go to the last day of my life in that life, and I felt like I was taken up on a spaceship, and then that's the last thing I saw. So very interesting. Very interesting. A lot to unpack there. You can do what you will with that. So yeah, and then after that I went into the spirit realm, and I was just like seeing colors. I was kind of like in blackness and I was seeing colors. I was seeing purple specifically. And then I felt like Jesus was there, just like his presence. And my practitioner was kind of asking Jesus questions. And then my practitioner asked my higher self the questions that I had brought to the session. So I just wanted to talk about the lives that I experienced, and just to give you a little taste of what is possible and what can happen in sessions. It's very interesting. Um, it's very interesting. It's very entertaining, but it also is very healing because the emotions that I was able to release in that first life, I mean, that has changed my life. Just seeing that and releasing all of that emotion and pain has changed like how I see life, how I view life, how I view myself, and how I see love too. And so that's a whole nother thing. I can go into how specifically that healed my heart chakra, but I think I'll just leave it at that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.